Hello, 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 hello. Hi, you lot. How's it going? It's the end of Sunday. That's weird, isn't it? It's like, that just happened. It's like crazy. I don't really know where all the time went. Can we all just keep hanging out? Like, I don't see any reason not to. Can I see a show of hands if you're either tired or really inspired? Like, either tired or just really inspired. Wicked. Hands up if you're more hungover than me. Right, yeah, you people are what I like to call liars. But that's okay. I've finally managed to make my way to this, traveling through juice and ibuprofen. This is a good thing. So we're going to talk about some music stuff, some YouTube-related things. I'm going to just like get on YouTube because that's what we're talking about. I want to kind of like, it's the end of the day on Sunday, so I want to try and keep this fun and inspiring and show you a load of videos. Obviously, videos of these guys I will introduce you to in a moment, but also some other bits and pieces. So in the spirit of this thing, I'm going to use actual real-life YouTube, which means that the internet may drop out. That's not my fault. Ads will definitely pop up on videos, and you're welcome. I might make spelling mistakes. It's possible my girlfriend will text me partway through. Like, hopefully that's something polite. So like, bear with us. But I want to kind of like show you what these guys do, and also we'll talk a little bit about what's possible with YouTube, what music makers are doing out there. Firstly, please welcome Andrew Huang, Rachel Collier, and Adam Neely. Yeah. So, there's obviously a whole ton of online video channels that are out there. These three people that are sat with me are using YouTube in different ways, all as music makers. And rather than kind of like digging too far into why it is they're using YouTube, it's worth just saying that YouTube for music makers is seemingly at the moment kind of the best place for lots of different reasons. I wanted to skirt round the kind of analysis of the tech platform itself and have a kind of creative discussion, I guess, about the different approaches to video that these three people are using, and what it means to commit to making video content as a music maker. So, firstly, I guess in the broadest sense, Rachel, let's start with you because you're drinking.
All right, yeah, cool. Hello, everyone.
Like, what does YouTube mean to you as a creator? What are you looking for from it?
YouTube has been super cool for me, just being able to take my studio production and actually have a place where I can arrange something for a live performance and kind of put it somewhere. So, you know, it's not just me performing in front of the mirror. I can actually put it online. And so for me, it's been actually really awesome in like finding my path as a live performer as well, you know, just because of the people watching and the reaction, so inspiring, you know, and the feedback I got, thinking, okay, you know what, people like this, so it pushes me and helps me to develop as a live performer myself. But initially, yeah, it was just a place for me to put something, put a live performance out there. Because, you know, when you're a new artist and you're just producing, you know, but you want to be able to perform, how can you perform to people if nobody knows who you are and, you know, you're just, again, in your bedroom. I'm not a live band. I'm not going to go down the pub and say, can I, you know, set my band up here and do a indie show? So for me, it was like a really great platform and somewhere as well where, you know, you can get feedback. Because sometimes, obviously, if you just do a show in the pub, you know, people might come down and say, yeah, great, or whatever, but, you know, you actually get, like, okay, you get, like, a feel for how people are responding to it. And I think it's been really, yeah, it's been really inspiring. And I really appreciate, you know, everyone on YouTube, and especially now when I've done a couple of shows. I mean, the fans are obviously all over the world, and just doing my UK tour, a few people that know me from YouTube came down to the show, and it really melts my heart, to be honest, when they introduce themselves and say they've been following the videos and I've been inspiring their music. And you think, it is actually real life, because sometimes I think we forget that. It's like a screen, and you think there's no connection, but you really are making a difference to people. And and they're making a difference to me and inspiring me to keep on pushing myself as a live performer and producer. So it's been really cool.
Andrew, how about for you?
I think YouTube's been a lot of different things to me over the years, and I've changed my content a ton of times. I signed up for YouTube in 2006, and I had a little audience just from a website that I was posting my music on. So at that point, it was like, let's collect all the fan art, all the videos that people have animated to my songs. Let's just put that in one place so it's easy for people to find. And then I realized there's this huge community around YouTube. It's constantly growing. It's still growing. It's the second largest search engine in the world. Like, this could be a platform for me. And I started posting stuff more regularly in 2010 and exploring vlogging, exploring music, covers, originals, remixes, and more recently, I've just found it an amazing place to share something a little deeper about my music, like going into my process, my perspectives on music. And it's really, I think the cool thing about online video is like this combination of video and audio, you can capture life. You can capture whatever you want and put it in front of whoever you want. So it's just an incredibly powerful tool for anyone who has ideas that they want to share. I was talking with someone who came to my listening session today. He says he's really passionate about pandas. He's going to start a panda channel. Oh, yeah. And you can do that. And that's amazing.
Cool.
Adam, how about for you? Your channel's always kind of had it has a slightly more educational slant, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had my YouTube channel since 2006. I started in high school, and I started posting like educational bass videos, like this is how you play the C major scale and all that stuff. And it turns out that those sorts of videos are very popular, and so I was able to build some audience with that. And over the years, I've been posting more and more like bass lessons, bass guitar lessons, how to play bass. But I realized that the format actually could be expanded a little bit, and so I could turn these like lessons on playing bass guitar into a little bit deeper explorations into anything that I was thinking about at the time. So philosophy, like Nietzsche and the bass guitar, and which did pretty well actually, that video. And I found that like people really enjoy the storytelling aspect of teaching and learning, and so I kind of have geared my channel over the past year or two to making these like essays, video essays on educational subjects in music, and it's been really exciting because I think the YouTube platform has allowed people who really want and are interested in that sort of thing to connect with me and my channel. And it's been great because I've met a whole bunch of different people from a whole bunch of different styles of music and backgrounds, and I get to sort of share what I'm thinking about, what the ideas in my brain. It's been a great like sort of canvas for me to sort of paint a picture of whatever.
Well, I want to throw some of this stuff up there because like the very best way to get a handle on this is to like have a look at some of the stuff that you're doing. So like this clip here is from a video where you were talking about working. You're a session musician.
Yeah.
And so you were talking about working with a string quartet alongside a jazz group, and your thoughts on the different sense of rhythm that's experienced by like, these different types of people. I'll play it, then we can talk about it. I'll embarrass you, then we can talk about it.
I got some stuff to say about this video.
I bet you do. Here we go.
To me, because I saw these same classical musicians perform these very technical feats of musicianship, and yet this simple rhythm that I and the rest of the rhythm section had no problem with, they could not really play very cleanly. Why might that be? One framework to understand this, and this is generalizing a little bit here, is that classical musicians react to the pulse, and jazz, rock, pop, etc. musicians feel the pulse. Classical musicians will very often perform in an ensemble under the direction of a conductor, and the conductor's job is to keep everybody in sync, not unlike a drummer does. Orchestral musicians will react to the ictus of a conductor's baton or a conductor's breathing, and then they'll count rhythms based upon the pulse that they are seeing. This might give some insight into why Wim's string quartet could sight read that music that was contrary to the pulse of the rhythm section. For the rhythm section to accurately play these rhythms, we needed to graph the subdivisions onto the actual pulse. It was very difficult to do that when visually the pulses did not align. So the result of all of this is classical musicians might have a good sense of rhythm, but not have a good sense of what's called phase locking. Check out these two metronomes, one on my phone and one on my iPad. They're both clicking away at 120 beats.
So you get the picture.
Yeah.
There's like
So I have, so this video was basically me exploring the subject that I had talked about a lot with a lot of my fellow like jazz musicians, a lot of rock musicians also who I had played with, who had also played with classical musicians. And we were trying to figure out why there was sort of a disconnect between these two styles, like really just conceptions of what rhythm is, like how to feel it, internalize it, or whether it's sort of reactive with the music. And I made this video, and it has kind of this snarky tone, like basically everything I do. And because there is such a snarky tone, not a lot of classical people like this video. If you look at the comments section, it's one of the more interesting comment sections. Very, very angry, but somehow polite classical musicians. So yeah, this is the sort of thing that I do on my channel. Is I like to kind of push people's buttons a little bit by saying what they're doing is wrong, but also trying to not really what they're doing is wrong, but like to try and explore why music is the way it is, like to try and think critically about these things that I've noticed and like a lot of other people have noticed. And you know, I think that's kind of the main thesis of my channel.
I found this one really interesting because it deals with music theory and also just like that subjective experience of being a musician, which your channel kind of deals with all the time, like stuff that some of it obviously clearly you have a extremely thorough knowledge of theory, but you also kind of like deal with all sorts of different things. In your talk on Friday, you talked a little bit about synesthesia, which is like one of your videos.
Yeah, it should be.
So if we look at this bit, the New Horizons in music, there's loads of stuff in here. Like there's the synesthesia thing. You talked about like pitch and tone, the Coltrane fractal. There's some like really heavy stuff. But there's also some stuff that kind of just deals with the experience of being a very active musician. I wonder where you're getting these ideas from. Like, how are you kind of like bringing these ideas to the table?
That's a question I get asked a lot, and you know the thing that it's an important question because like you know I want people to be thinking like this sort of in the same sort of scattershot way that I do because I like to try and make connections between things. That's kind of, I guess, another thing that I'm thinking about a lot. And whenever I'm researching or thinking about one thing, like maybe another thought will pop in my head. And I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me write that down. I have like a Google Docs of just like, you know, all these ideas. Like one of them, I don't even know. I just have one that says Mingus neural net. I have no idea what I was thinking there, but that's just like, that's just what will happen. And, you know, it comes down. The ideas are really never the problem because, you know, I have the opportunity because of a variety of, you know, income streams from YouTube and Patreon. I'm able to do this pretty much full time now, which is fantastic. And so I get to sort of dedicate my time to making these sorts of connections.
So you're a bassist, and you started out with Adam Neely's bass lessons. So now, like, your channel is called New Horizons in Music.
Yep.
But it started out as Adam Neely's bass. Wait, we should listen to the theme of that because it's an absolute jam.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Chances are your body is...
There you go. That's what you get.
Okay, there we go.
So like,
What a flop.
Thank you.
what happened Well, like, why that transition? That seems to be your main thing now.
Yeah, well, it turns out that not just bass players were watching my channel, and that was the main thing. Is like bass. It turned out to be many, many different kinds of people, and so I am a bass player and I'm very passionate about bass guitar. But at the same time, there's only so many subjects that you can talk about that relate just to bass guitar in the way that I wanted to do it. So that's why I made these things like Nietzsche and the bass guitar. I really just wanted to talk about performance practice and what the Apollonian and the Dionysian meant to bass guitar practice or performance practice, just the different mindsets that Nietzsche was explaining in his philosophy. And that was, yeah, way beyond the scope of like, here's how to play a walking bass line, or here's how to play like a country bass line or something, which are things that I love and I do all the time, but that's not really what I was passionate about for my YouTube channel. So, yeah.
So maybe I can jump over to your channel, Rachel, and whack something on. This one is a track called Paper Tiger.
You and say goodbye.
It goes on, yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Can you just like walk us through this? Like, how does a video
sure.
like that come together?
Well, first of all, the song is the first thing. So producing and writing the song. I mean, I could go into a lot of depth talking about that. I did a workshop on Friday, actually, about kind of the songwriting to this process. But yeah, I'm not going to talk for 40 minutes. So I'll just quickly, get your big production in arrange view. And first thing I'll do is kind of decide what parts can I play live. So I like to play my bass, play around with all the cutoff and all the square waves, the triangles, whatever. I like to play keys, and I like to sing. So that's the main three things I can do. So immediately I'll color those tracks red in the arrangement view, delete them all. And then I'll pick like the MIDI sounds that I want to play live. So I'm using the Arturia mini keys there to play the simpler riff, the dun, 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 which I made with my voice. So I'll pick the MIDI sounds that I want to play and then play them with a controller. And then the radio edit version of the track is actually pretty different. It starts, like, and for a live performance, I feel like you want to bring the audience in, you want to build up the sounds, you want them to come on the journey with you. This is all kind of stuff I've kind of trying to be crafting along my journey. So I'll then take separate stems and like separate sounds and put them into clips, into loops. And then I'll probably really change the whole introduction, actually, of the radio edit and make it a bit more exciting and more fun to play live. So I'll take, like you saw, those one clip, actually, at the start, that just dun, 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 something to keep me in time. And then I'll do, like, some vocal looping. And then I said the tiger, tiger. And then, yeah, duplicate that into another track, cut it up with push. Did a MIDI simpler loop there. So I've built up like a nice big introduction, and then obviously then those clips I've made on the fly I can bring back into the live performance as well. And then I'll bounce out certain sections then which I don't want to change if I'm just going to be performing, and I'll bounce out that next scene down where you've got kind of those more atmospheric sounds. So I'll build up a big intro, keep lots and lots of clips, and then bring in a swell, and then into the next scene then.
So is all of this stuff to make it so that it's kind of a compelling live performance on film?
Not really. It's for fun. Like, I'll do it for fun, for me first, and and then afterwards, it's only in the camera work we'll think about, like, my friend Danny, who shot this one, my old flatmate, I used to drag him in, come and film me, please, And so only when we get Danny in, then we realize, oh, that bit's quite good, zoom in on that, So it's more in the edit then, we'll sort of say, oh, did you get any footage of, just for the technical people who are watching, and so you guys can see a little bit more what I'm doing. But first and foremost, I do what I want to do, what's fun to do, basically. But yeah, I guess, though, actually, if I'm totally honest, it does push me to make stuff more technical, but in a fun way, In the breakdown section later on, that's why I had like a lot of fun. It's just a drum loop, and then I'll loop the bass, loop the keys, do some more vocal looping, and then I've like MIDI mapped the solo button of the vocal group and the lead vocal, so I'll build up all these parts and then solo just my vocals. And then the clips are in toggle mode, so I'll turn off all the clips, then unsolo, bring in another clip, and then build it back up to another scene drop. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah. But
it seems like it is like a live looping thing that you're going for, that you're interested in.
I want to try and loop as much as possible, because that's really fun. When I first started like performing outside YouTube, it's also the most scary thing ever. But obviously with push, you've got the delete button. So if you do a bad loop, and it does happen, just delete and then do it again. So for me, I can't have 20 musicians on stage. I can't have everyone playing these parts live. It would cost way too much. It would also take way too much time. So I try to just do a combination of whatever I can loop and cut up and play with live with the pre-made stuff.
I sort of like I saw a comment or two on one video of yours where someone was like, "This isn't all being played live." I find it really, really weird that people are assuming that you're in any way telling them that that's what's happening.
Yes,
it's funny.
You get a lot of those comments. Like one was like, "Oh, I wish there was some live instruments," and you're like, "Dude, that's a like analog Korg and a bass." Is kind of, then I just think they just haven't got a clue really. And what about the singing? I mean, and people think, right? They think I'm miming, and I'm like, have you ever tried to mime? Because that is just years ago, I think, like back in sort of before I was doing all my producer stuff. Any video you do where you're like, right, yeah, there's the recording, just mime along. No chance in hell. Like, it just doesn't work. So I just want to say to them, just go and have a go. Go on, make your own video and then see, and then tell me if you're miming. But, it's just part of what you get with YouTube, innit?
Is this mimicking what you do on stage, though? Like, are you also doing live looping on stage?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like my live show obviously varies between like how much looping and clip triggering and everything I'm doing, because if you did a whole live show of that and you don't have 4 cameras around you, your whole live show is just, kind of people aren't going to see your face. So, and that's kind of not what my music's about. You know, I like to dance. You know, I kind of want people to dance too. So I've been trying to work on this balance of like, without 4 cameras around me, of, you know, a cool technical performance, performing with Ableton, doing fun stuff that, you know, fuels my heart and stuff, but then also giving a performance. So that's something, and really a journey I'm on at the moment.
You sent me this
This
inspiration
is
of yours. This guy,
I
Jacques.
mean, I just love people who just do whatever the hell they want, and this guy definitely does that.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
Yeah. So it's like
He doesn't care.
the whole track is built up out of just like weird sounds that he's making.
Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sick, isn't it? It's so
Love this
cool.
guy.
That's awesome.
And the video is really cool as well, you know?
Yeah. But there's definitely something incredibly compelling about simply watching
Yeah.
someone make all the music right in front of you. Adam, we were like talking a little bit about this over email.
It's like we hear with our eyes much more than with our ears sometimes, and it's so compelling.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about this idea of the video song. So there's this guy Jack Conti, the founder of Patreon, who described the video song as just the direct conversion of music into video. He said, his quote was, yeah, it's a direct conversion of music into video. That was it. It was an equation. It was a way to convert a piece of audio to something that would work where people were flocking, which is YouTube. So he is one half of Pamplemousse, this group that made a load of videos in exactly this style. And I think, Andrew, like this kind of style is something that you do a great deal of. Certainly, like a lot. Your song challenges are kind of like all in this kind of vein, right? I might we'll chuck this on and then we can talk about it.
Put your pinky rings up to the moon. Girls, what y'all trying to do? 24 karat magic in the air. Head to toe so flare. Pop, pop, it's showtime. Showtime, showtime, showtime. Guess who's back again? Oh, they don't know. Go on, tell. Oh, they don't know. Go on, tell. I bet they know as soon as we walk in. Showing up. Take your sip, do your dip, spend your money like money ain't way too fresh. Gotta blame it on Jesus. Hashtag blessed. I'm a dangerous man with some money in my pocket. Keep up. So many pretty girls around me.
Yeah, I think we'll leave you hanging there.
Yeah, sure. Keep me up there in my gold tights. Yeah, so I had no idea what you were gonna show of mine, but yeah, this is something I like to do to really challenge what's possible with a limited set of sounds. And I also, my love of puns comes through. I cover songs sometimes just using words that are in the lyrics. My biggest one of that is 99 Red Balloons, or Luft Balloons. And it's played with some balloons. And so just like sampling stuff has been a passion of mine for a long time, and kind of taking that to an extreme. And this one, I mean, I don't know what to say about this one.
Well, how much of the sounds come from carrots?
I did the vocals, obviously, and then the bass line is my voice as well, pitched down an octave, and everything else is carrots.
Everything else.
Everything else. Like that, I actually made a ton of carrot whistles, and had to get enough of them to cover all the pitches that I needed. And
did you have to tune the carrots, where you're sitting there with a
or did you get a carrot tuner in to do that for you?
Well, it's interesting. It behaves enough like a wind instrument that the pressure that you're putting through will kind of like vary the pitch a bit. But I think on this one I probably did a little post because this was an extreme extreme instrument to work with. But
do you want to explain? Do you want to explain what these song challenges are, like where they came from?
Oh yeah, well, I started doing this maybe 4 years ago, and I had been doing YouTube for a while up until that point, and I was always experimenting with these strange ways to make music. And a buddy of mine said, like, why don't you frame them as challenges? Like, you know you can do this, but the audience doesn't know. So phrase it as, can you make music with carrots, with pants? And that sort of like shifted the way my content was viewed and consumed, and I grew a lot from that, and created this series called Song Challenge, which started as a bit of just this creative sampling stuff, but expanded into anything that I thought of or that people would suggest, like making a song in an extremely short period of time, or making a song out of YouTube clips, like a whole bunch of just extreme limitations around the way that you approach music making, which I just think is a lot of fun.
You said to me that one of the things that's interesting about this approach is that the videos and the music only make sense together. There isn't one without the other.
Yeah, that's right. I like the idea that maybe I'll produce something and no one will know that the sounds all came from a water bottle and I don't even know, a cat. But you know, that's another that's another way to look at it. But you can't have the video without the audio. Like watching that is ridiculous. And so it just, you know, the fusion of seeing this like air being let out of a balloon while you hear how I've paired it with like the popping of the balloon, the rubbing of the balloon, like it just turns into this audio-visual symphony.
Yeah, and there are some people out there who are applying this principle to great effect. I think you sent me this, Adam.
Oh yeah, this is great.
This is a classic.
Do you wanna ride in my blimp, girl? Do you wanna ride in my blimp? See the night sky in my blimp, girl. Do you wanna ride in my blimp? Do you wanna dine in my blimp, girl? Do you wanna dine in my blimp? Red wine and some shrimp, girl. Do you wanna dine in my blimp? Do you wanna love in my blimp, girl? Do you wanna love in my blimp? I own an entire fucking blimp, girl. Do you wanna ride in my blimp?
Nice. Oh, go on, then. That'll do.
My favorite parts of that are you might notice that it's not actually his hand with the microphone. He just has a hand microphone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. Like the whole thing is awesome. I wonder how much production knowledge you need for something like that. You have quite a lot of post-production stuff in your videos.
Yeah, there's audio posts, there's video posts. I have training on the music side of things, but zero on the video side, so it's just been like brute forcing my way through like, oh, how do you make the video smaller and put another video with it? And doing that and taking forever, and then 2 years in being like, oh, they make a plugin for that. So now it's just like, it feels like a breeze. But
What's the plugin? Because I don't know this plugin.
oh, you know what? It's called split screen.
Split screen. All right, sweet.
Or screen splitter.
I'll
Yeah.
figure it out. I'll look for it.
But yeah, it's you know, editing takes the longest you know, of any part of the process, and yeah, that's just my world now.
Something that all of you are doing is like seeking to use creative processes like narrative in your work. So, Rachel, you Actually, in the video that I showed before, I noticed that down in the comments section, you listed really thoroughly all of the kit that you've used,
Yeah.
and then you'd even gone into like the process essentially. Was that up there from the beginning? Why was that like important?
So initially I didn't. I just uploaded a video, whatever, see what happens. And then people would start asking quite a lot of questions. So I was like, oh, maybe it'd be really helpful if write in the comments, just tell them everything I'm using, everything I'm doing, blah, 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 blah. And then I did that. And then over time then, we get a lot of questions. And I feel quite passionate about, sharing it because it's fun and cool. And so I thought after, just in June, actually, when I did my last performance video, I thought, manager Ben was there, and we had this little camera, and I just thought, oh, hang on now, let's not pack down. I'll do a talk through and may as well just do a video and explain it rather than, write it down. Because the descriptions would take me an hour. I'd be there just writing this big description and then copy and paste into my YouTube blurb. But I just thought, oh, I'll just do a little video.
Can I just show 30 seconds of this?
Yeah.
To just like give a flavour of what this is.
London.
Like.
Yeah, so I think we'll start with the instruments here. I'm going to try and do this in a small amount of time as possible. So we've got the mini brute here, Arturia mini brute. Yeah, so this is going to be playing the bass line in the song, which you'll hear when you hear the video. And we've got the King Korg here, which I've got this lovely whirly sound, which I usually use, but I've just changed the attack slightly, so I've got a bit. So you've got this nice floaty sound. So there's a lovely floaty sound on there. Okay.
Like, was this something you noticed then, that are you kind of going through comments to figure out that people are looking for this kind of info?
I just wanted to explain everything.
Okay.
So, but there's still a lot of questions. So, but that's the first talk through I've done. So, and people seem to like it, so I'll do more. So, yeah. But obviously I'm terrible at editing, and I did it in iMovie, and I cut out all the and then there was no like cool transitions, so I had to like kind of use those squares. But I have started using Premiere now, so hopefully there'll be an improvement.
I like that when you mentioned iMovie, Adam just shook his head.
No, that was like yes, hell yeah, that's my speed, man.
So yeah.
Like Andrew, this is something you're doing all the time. So the aforementioned Karen get dealt with here.
What's up, it's Andrew Huang. Today we're going to learn how to make carrot instruments. You're watching Carrot Kitchen with Andrew Huang. That's me! If you didn't already see, last week I dropped a cover of 24 Karat Magic by Bruno Mars, but I played it using only 24 carats. 24 Karat Magic in the air. Today we're going to learn how to make the carrot slide whistle and the carrot recorder. For this project, you're going to need a clean surface to cut on, some big carrots, some little carrots, a knife, a drill, a big drill bit, and a little drill bit. So grab your carrot. At the beginning, it should sound like this. Don't worry, that's normal. Let's begin. First, chop off.
I'm usually not like that funny, but I also work with other materials that aren't carrots. But yeah, I started doing this kind of stuff because I was creating music where I felt like a lot of the things I was putting into it were just going completely unappreciated. Like, I just wanted to point out, did you hear that chord change, that key change, that like, this is how I designed that tiny sound that you just hear one time and it took me 2 hours. And I just wanted to share about that. And it turns out that's something a lot of people are interested in. I think so many more of us now have access to tools to create, and so I think a lot of people now come to my channel to learn, to get inspired for their own productions. Yeah, so I'm always, in addition to putting out the original music, trying to find some kind of story or tip or trick that I can share about it along with it.
You pretty much take any opportunity that you can get to share information about the process behind the music that you're putting out through the channel. And Yeah, a lot of your channel seems to be like really given over to this stuff. Well, I'll flick through the channel in a moment, but I wanted to show this one.
Hello, I'm Andrew Huang, and welcome to another beat making video. For today's tutorial, all you're gonna need is some basic music production software. I'm using Ableton Live, and a single Donald Trump sniff sample. Here's the one I've chosen. So first of all, set your BPM to 70 because that's how old Donald Trump is. And we're gonna start by making a hi-hat. So all you need to do is filter away some of the low end, and then you're gonna shorten the sample so that you're only using the very beginning of it. And now we can program a simple rhythm. Next, we're gonna make a clap sound, and we do that by slightly lowering the pitch of the sniff, and then we'll shorten it again, but this time we'll use the end instead of the beginning. There we go. Maybe not a perfect clap, but it's closer to a clap than a sniff. Now let's complement that clap with a snare, again using just a short portion of the sample, but we'll take it from the middle this time and add a little fade out. Yep, very good, very good. To make a kick drum, we're gonna transpose our sniff down by 39 semitones. And we'll just grab another little chunk from the middle of the sound, add that fade out, turn the treble right down, and warm the whole thing up with some saturation. Last but not least, we're gonna make a bass. We're gonna isolate a low frequency and distort it a little bit. And now we can resample that and program a bass line.
What are we doing? They're laughing at us, at our stupidity. You are stupid. Number one, I'm not stupid, okay? And everybody takes me very seriously.
And there you have it, a solid beat, and you know it's sick because it started with a snap.
Thank you.
It's like you're treading this line in this one between like music fans without any production knowledge, where you're like really showing in very simple terms how these things are done, and actual creators who are well versed in music tech and in the tools of music making. Like, who are you speaking to? Like, who are you thinking about?
You know, I'm trying to find a balance where the ideas are interesting enough that people who maybe have been producing for a long time would still find something that they can get out of it, but also where it's accessible to just about anyone, because, you know, music speaks to everybody, and if I can find the, you know, get away from too much of the technical terminology, but just share at the surface level, I guess, like what is happening, like what does pitch shifting mean? You know, trimming samples. Like, I think people who aren't music producers just don't see that side of music creation, and so it's kind of fun to make that accessible.
Why is it so important to you though to connect with creators? You very clearly have a strong community of creators. It's not like the as you can see, like this video has a casual 3 million views. Yes, there's a ton of people on that are subscribed to your channel. Clearly, like many of whom are probably not music makers. But why is it so important to you to connect with people who are actively making?
I guess it's from my passion of creating and how important creativity is to me. So yeah, I just like to share all these little tips and tricks or ways that I've been inspired, or you know, things that I don't see a lot of people talking about the creative process, or that maybe I'm not sure if other people are even doing, but it's just cool to have a dialogue about that rather than, you know, me creating this music on my own and only sharing the result. It's just more interesting to share the process as well.
How are you guys thinking about community? Like Adam, for you, are you kind of like, are you scrolling through comments? Are you kind of checking what the feedback looks like?
Yeah, and I'm trolling people back all the time. Probably not the wisest idea. Well, the thing I like doing is I like doing Q&As all the time. I do Q&A videos all the time where people will ask questions, and I can really quickly answer the question in like a minute or so. And so it's fun because then the community is like then part of the channel in a pretty big way. And then another thing that I do, you know, before I had my YouTube channel, although I still had it then, I did a lot of private teaching, and that was kind of how I, you know, did my life. And so I kind of have extended that recently into a series I call How to Not Suck at Music. And people submit videos of them playing their instrument or like compositions or whatever, and then I give a, you know, deconstruction. I try and like break it down what I think that they could do to improve. And you know, I try and make it as like useful for everybody as possible, but you know, I'm not selecting things to say like, this is awesome, this is amazing, you're incredible. I'm like specifically trying to like say, these are the things that I think that you could improve upon. And so everybody has always taken that to be me being extremely negative with everybody. It's like, oh my God, Adam is roasting all of these people all the time. It's not the point. But it's really fun to like bring in people from the community to like invite them into the channel, and also like it's really fun seeing how excited people are getting about like some of the things that I'm talking about. So that's kind of my, you know, how I interact with my particular community.
What about you, Rachel? Like, do you see your channel as a community of people?
I'd say so. Like the cutest ones I get are like my daughter loves it, and I get sent on Facebook like little videos of kids watching the videos, and my daughter wants to get the same controllers as you, and like it's stuff like the dads showing their daughters and how them and things like that. I'm just like, okay, this is really cool. So things like that, you start to think, oh, but yeah, and you know, you've seen people obviously comment on the videos, get some nice poems and stuff like that. So like,
do you respond to those?
Not enough, because I get quite a fair amount, and it would probably take me, Ben, my manager, he's always like, you need to sit down and respond to YouTube comments. But it's just finding the time to go through all those. I was a point where I was keeping up to date with them, but I've gone a bit off the point now. So that's why I wanted to do a talk-through video as well, because if I couldn't answer the questions directly, I can try and answer things in a video. But no, it definitely feels like, yeah, there's a really nice kind of vibe around it all, and you feel really supported by it and stuff like that. But I definitely would like to be able to have more time to go in on the comments. I mean, you guys might feel like that as well, isn't it? It's kind of hard to really address everyone. I at least try going through and like as many as I can.
Andrew, you even kind of like have challenged your community to a couple of things.
I like to get them involved with various projects that I'm doing.
Yeah, it's like, where do you have the one-to-one dialogue with people? Are you doing that outside of YouTube?
There's a lot of people messaging me, and I can't respond to everyone, but when I do community projects, I just have ideas where I'd like to get other people involved, where I like to see stuff kind of come together from all around the world. So I've done a video where I got just anyone who wanted to could submit a track that I layered into a song that I just wanted to be kind of big and cacophonous. And then I did another one where people sent me samples, and I turned those into a beat. This one you're loading up was like a challenge to see if we could all come up with a new genre based on some certain parameters. And I just featured, like, I don't even know, maybe 20 or 30 of my subscribers' music in this video.
Let's watch just a little bit of it.
Hey, it's Andrew Huang. You guys did it.
You made Shiny.
It's incredible. Shiny is the name of the genre we were all gonna invent together. It's taken me way too long to make this video because I just haven't had time to make my own Shiny track, and I still haven't made it. But wait. I have so many talented subscribers, I'm sure you guys made a perfectly good Shiny without me. So let's see what this fake but now real genre sounds like, and I guess this will be like a reaction video? Shiny!
So like, let's play something of that. I love this one because you literally co-created with a bunch of people that watch your channel the idea of what a genre of music could sound like, and then encouraged them to go away and make it, and they did.
Yeah, I think I got 200 submissions, and I just love that everyone, had an opportunity to exercise their creativity. I made this video as long as I felt like I needed it to be. I think it's like 9 minutes, just to showcase as many of the submissions that I could that I really enjoyed. And I wanted to link to these creators too, because it is a community. Like, so many people in my audience are creators, and I just love that with the internet now, you can find all these different people just doing their thing. And for some reason, for some people like us, there's more followers that come in. But yeah, I just love the idea that there's so much creativity happening, and you can kind of like spider web out to all these different people.
So I thought one thing that I wanted to do was to throw up the very first video on each of your channels. I was looking for a way to embarrass you guys, and it seemed like the obvious choice.
It's going to be embarrassing.
So this is yours first, Rach.
Oh, God. This is, pre-tech days. Not a happy place.
Soldaten schlafen nicht, die ruhen.
Oh, yeah.
Das Problem ist einfach hier dieses...
There's some money coming in your direction. You're welcome.
Another night, another day. I'm moving, loving every beat that's played. Suddenly I'm out of place, distracted by an unfamiliar face. You say, come on over, let me take control of you and all of what we do. Confused, I blank every word you've said. Confused, you got a run inside my head. I've been poisoned by your eyes tonight. My voice on overload. I've gone no shy. I can speak.
Still pretty great.
That was, yeah.
Oh, God. No. It's a lot less technology.
Did you think that your channel was just going to be performances? Was that the original intention?
I mean, it's kind of, I haven't done a whole thing with my channel. It's just kind of, somewhere, like I said, it's like my little stage to kind of go and put stuff, especially in the times where I've been working up to performing out live and things like that. So it was just a couple of acoustic videos. I mean, I went to music tech college, so this was like in my transitional period after tech college, where I just did top lines and stuff like that for other producers. And so I just used still the platform, but to be honest, I do kind of want to delete those videos because they don't really represent me, I think. But I just haven't got around to doing that either.
So it's not like you've sat down and planned out what your channel is?
No, not at all. I haven't even done good thumbnails. I haven't got a logo yet. I need to have a rebrand, probably.
Then how do you figure out how often to post videos?
How often? It's just when I feel like, to be honest. So
when you have time?
When I have time. So I like to do bootlegs, so cover really cool songs, and then I think that's a good way as well to fill a gap between a release. I'm going to do a Christmas song now as a little challenge for myself. And I filmed a breakdown talk of my live setup when I was on tour, but I need to edit it and stuff. So it's just finding the time, really, because obviously I actually still teach a bit of piano as well, so I still work and then produce my own songs, and that takes up enough bloody time. And then and then I've just been on tour and done some really cool stuff as well the past few months. So for me is finding the time to do it. I mean, and you guys who are releasing music, I do it on my own label, my manager Ben as well, and the artwork, the performance video, like obviously writing it, producing it, the mixing, the mastering, the PR. It takes so much time. It takes, it's a lot of effort. So then doing YouTube as well, I feel like if I could give as much time into all of that into YouTube, that would be cool. But, I'm still finding my way, so we'll see.
Let's embarrass you next, Adam.
Right.
This.
Let's do it.
Check out the hair on this guy. It's spectacularly great.
17 years old, and my haircut is not what.
Look at that. Still got some chops.
I definitely I cannot do that anymore. I think that was the peak of my chops back when I was in high school.
But you could still rock that hairstyle?
Yeah, sure.
So that was 2006.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
yeah, so I heard of this new cool thing called YouTube in high school, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And I'd been shooting like little films just like with my mom's camera, which was this really janky sort of thing, and you could hear this like little clicking noise in the background, which was the sound of it trying to autofocus. So I filmed this on that, and some of my earlier videos were just that, literally. And I look back on this somewhat fondly because it's a testament to like, hey, I was just trying to like create videos and like, oh, this is me playing in my bedroom, and I just want to get that out. And I think that's just a really, is an idea that still resonates today for a lot of people, I think.
You have such a clear kind of narrative style now.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you have sat down and thought about how that should look and feel.
Yeah, well, for most of my videos now, which have nothing to do with this, a lot of it was borrowed from a lot of, I'll call them science channels. One channel in particular was PBS Idea Channel, which is no longer running, but it was run by this guy, Mike Rignetta, who he had this very particular way of like pairing philosophical ideas, like pretty intense philosophical ideas, with pop culture, and it was just a really interesting blend of things that was really inspiring. And I thought like, oh, I want to do that sort of thing, but then for bass guitar, I guess. But that didn't really pan out. It ended up being for music in general, and that was like kind of the idea. What I was really trying to go for is like kind of take that sort of like style of like, throwing in memes all over the place, and like kind of this sort of irreverent style of editing, like a la Bill Nye, to like kind of, but like teach people and like make a point, like tell a story with a lesson. So that was kind of the genesis of all that.
But it's like, it's a very nuanced style that you do have. Is this just something that's evolved over time, or are you really sketching this out?
Yeah, I mean, the process is I'll write a script, I'll tightly script the whole thing, I'll film it, I'll film the talking head, and I'll edit it. And editing is always kind of a slog because I'm not a video editor at all. But like during it, I'll think like, oh, that's a funny joke, maybe I'll throw that in. And so it's a fun like kind of weekly process that I have for myself. And yeah, a lot of it was borrowed, and there's a lot of things which I definitely try and emulate and steal from other people. Remix culture is something that I feel like is talked about a lot here at Loop, and I definitely feel like that's the sort of theme for a lot of where I get my stuff. It's just that I'm doing it for music versus other topics. Yeah.
So I want to put on your first video, Andrew. I have a sneaking suspicion that like this isn't the first ever thing posted.
I had those fan animations up before, which when I made the channel more my content, I took those down. But
Okay.
yeah.
We will go through this one.
Come here. Come on. Are you in tune? Are you in tune?
Like, you say your videos aren't always that funny, but clearly humor was there right from the very beginning.
Yeah, I guess like I just kind of put up whatever is funny or cool to me, but yeah, I'm just having a laugh so much of the time. I guess it happens a lot more than I think it does.
How did you develop the language and style that you have?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think I do watch a lot of vloggers on YouTube. This is something that I noticed a couple years ago, that I'm a musician and I'm uploading musical content to YouTube. And while I do follow some musicians on YouTube, I follow more vloggers. I watch the Vlog Brothers, I watch Casey Neistat, I watch Tessa Violet, Cheska Lee. Like, I watch people talking. And I just thought, well, this is clearly a format that works for YouTube, and started taking the way that they communicated into my videos, whether it was like jump cutting or the way that they would change angles, or even a little bit in the delivery, and using that as the vehicle through which I could share about music even more than I had been.
I have no idea how you're finding the time to watch other people on YouTube, given the volume of content that you turn out. I mean, we should talk about that, and also all these roles that you play, like writer, producer, performer, engineer, educator, videographer, Canadian.
That one's hard work. Yeah, well, I guess at this point they all roll together into the one process, which is divided into a million processes. But I kind of have that end result of the video fairly formulated, with a lot that can change along the way. But each step that I'm doing, whether it's writing the song or finding inspiration, or looking on Twitter for ideas, or the editing, the mixing, it's all part of that series of steps to get to that place where I have that video to publish every Monday and every Thursday.
But there's so many hats to swap round, and especially you're producing a vast amount of music as well. Like your musical output, there's a bunch of musicians who'd be frightened by that. And this stuff on top, I genuinely wonder how you kind of like sequence your time out and think about how to fit all that stuff into the week.
Yeah. Well, some of you might have seen me floating around and on my laptop producing, because I have a client deadline tonight. So I've been chipping away at that, 20 minutes here and there throughout the day at loop. But that's kind of like how I work. It's always like 100 projects at a time, knowing what needs to happen next in each one, and just diving right in. And I think something that I became good at from doing this for so long is pivoting my creative sort of mindset, because it's a little bit different, the place you need to be in when you're editing a video versus designing a synth patch. And I think I noticed as I did this more, I got quicker at just like knowing which zone I needed to be in and getting to that headspace. So it's making decisions as quickly as I can and never looking back.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean, we've already seen with the content that all of you guys are creating, but there are definitely some new formats that YouTube has sort of facilitated that really kind of couldn't exist anywhere else. And I wanted to like throw up a couple of things as examples, partly for inspiration and partly as a kind of talking point. I think I find it particularly fascinating when music makers are kind of like really trying to flex their creative muscle in the way that all of you guys are, but also looking for the thing that's kind of like just unique to them. One of these examples, it's a particular favorite of mine at the moment. This guy is an absolute hero of mine. His channel's called a cappella science. I don't know if has anyone come across a cappella science? Yeah. So like the short version of this is that this guy's like I guess a science major. I can't remember whether he was doing a master's or a PhD, and he's super into music and super into science, real nerdy science. And his videos are like incredibly well researched, and he's obviously into a cappella singing. This particular video is about something called CRISPR-Cas9. Does anyone know what CRISPR-Cas9 is? Yeah. So I reckon I'll show you the video, and then you can see whether you know what CRISPR-Cas9 is right afterwards. Watch the lyrics, and then we can touch on it briefly. It's a heavy subject, but what this guy does is amazing to me.
CRISPR-Cas9, bring me a gene, encoding for a specific protein. Make a few snips at this coded locus. You work so well inside a streptococcus. Cas9, I'm so alone without your scissors in my chromosome. Cut me up and do it clear. CRISPR-Cas9, bring me a gene. CRISPR-Cas9, give me a gene, a virus sequence you've already seen, chopped into bits and stored as genomic, with clustered repeats that are palindromic. Cas9, bind with this code, use it to target infections of old, immunize like a vaccine. CRISPR-Cas9, give me a gene. CRISPR-Cas9, cut me a gene with a precision that I've never seen. Unzip a strand and interrogate it. Seek out your sequence until you locate it. Cas9, lock into place and do your job as endonuclease. Chop just like a guillotine. CRISPR-Cas9, cut me a gene. Snip, snap. CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR-Cas9. CRISPR-Cas9, bring me a gene.
Okay, you get the picture. Got it? Yeah? CRISPR is like the absolute frontier of gene editing, and it's like I won't bother to explain exactly where it comes from, but it's like using bacteria to find a way to literally edit genes. So like change the color of a mouse, change someone's eye color, and it's super fascinating. One of the things I love about this guy is like he does his videos, which are obviously just kind of insane, and then he's at the end of them, he's got like a whole list. He says, here's a playlist that you can go and find out more about these things. And then he does videos of how he puts the tracks together, which is like very, very similar to your approach. And it seems like this idea of engaging with people and using the YouTube ecosystem is really important. Kind of the key, I think.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Does that resonate with you too?
Yeah, I mean, this guy, first of all, the amount of editing that goes into one of these things is insane. Yeah, he's also tapping really deep into this this video song thing, which I mean, this is like the next level evolution of it, and he's using it to teach, which I think is really exciting and really cool, especially talking about something so
You can imagine you can make an absolute fortune in education videos with stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there are huge amounts of people watching this stuff. I wish there were more.
Imagine that was your lesson in school. That would be cool.
It's pretty awesome, isn't it? And I've watched this video a bunch of times, and it just literally taught me what CRISPR Cas9.
Do you have Bill Wirt's History of the World? This is probably the most genius thing I've ever seen, and
We can make that happen.
probably the best YouTube video ever to exist, I think. Bill Wirtz is this amazing, wonderful. He's a musician, but I don't even really know how to describe what it is he does. Well, you'll see.
Could someone quickly come and actually plug this charger in to the mains, please, so my computer keeps running?
You're on a rock, floating in space. Pretty cool, huh? Some of it's water. Fuck it. Actually, most of it's water. I can't even get from here to there without buying a boat. It's sad. I'm sad. I miss you.
How did this happen?
A long time ago, actually never, and also now, nothing is nowhere. When? Never. Makes sense, right? Like I said, it didn't happen. Nothing was never anywhere. That's why it's been everywhere. It's been so everywhere, you don't need a where. You don't even need a when. That's how every it gets. Forget this. I want to be something, go somewhere, do something. I want things to change. I want to invent time and space. And I know it's possible because everything is here and it probably already happened. I just don't know when to start. And that's exactly where it started. Oh, I paused it. I think there's a universe now. What's it made of?
Corks and stuff.
Ah, that's a thing. In a place. Don't like it? Try a new place. At a different time. Try to stick together because the world is going to get bigger and emptier. But it's not empty yet. It's still very full and about 1 jillion degrees. Great news, the quarks are now happily married in groups of 3, called a proton or a neutron. And there's something else flying around too that wants to join in but can't because it's still too... Great news, the protons and neutrons...
Yeah, this whole video is completely amazing.
Yeah,
well
so that was
worth
about
20
a minute.
minutes
It
of your
goes
time.
on for another 20, and it goes through the entire history of the world. So in that exact cadence, too. It is incredible.
So another thing, you've talked about this a little, or kind of alluded to it on your channel, Adam, but another thing that I'm super compelled by.
They're onto me, dude. Those guys are sharp as nails up there. You can't put anything past them. Oh my god, dude, I'm freaking out. I am so stressed out. I feel like I'm having a panic attack. You want to talk about stress? Forget about stress, okay? I've stumbled onto a major company conspiracy hack. How about that for stress? What the hell are you talking about? This company is being bled like a stuck pig, Mac, and I got a paper trail to prove it. Check this out. Take a look at this. Jesus Christ. That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Mac? I'm dying to talk about the mail for you all day, okay? Pepe Sylvia, this name keeps coming up over and over again. Every day, Pepe's mail getting sent back to me. Pepe Sylvia, Pepe Sylvia. I look at the mail. Well, this whole box is Pepe Sylvia. So I say to myself, I gotta find this guy. I gotta go up to his office. I gotta put his mail in the guy's goddamn hands. Otherwise, he's never gonna get it. It's gonna keep coming back down here. So I go up to Pepe's office. And what do I find out, Mac? What do I find out? There is no Pepe Sylvia. The man does not exist, okay? So I decided, oh, shit.
So yeah, this style became really popular actually like last year. There's 2 guys I want to point to. There's a guy by the name of Publio Delgado who did a harmonizer version of some of these basically viral videos. He would harmonize.
Can we watch?
Oh yeah,
this
is
clip?
one of them. Yeah.
For context, so that it doesn't look too scary, this is a kid that's just woken up from like anesthetic at the dentist, I think, and is speaking to his mum. He thinks he's like a gangster, and he went to Dubai. And Publio Delgado's guitar on top is just insane.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't even think straight right now. I promise when I get up, I'm gonna worry. What? You laughing at me, man? You don't yell. What goes? Don't yell. I'm sorry, man. I just can't. The big dog. Oh, the big dog. The big dog. Milly's working my man. She's on the phone. You gotta be quiet. Oh, sorry. Tell me did you buy anything in Dubai? I bought a camel, man. Me and my camel were like going through the wiki west, man. We were going so far. We were walking all over Dubai, man. We bought like 14 cars. I was rolling around my camel and my hot ass wife and my kids, yo. Why you laughing? Why you laughing, man? I'm sorry. I was lit. Yeah, bro, I was lit. I was like,
To put this into like some context, I wanna like talk. I want to talk like my channel about some of this stuff real quick. So this sort of style of like editing music on top of like other media goes back really far. There's Hermeto Pascoal, I think is his name, a Brazilian composer, did this a lot. And then there's also this band called Spastic Inc. in the 1980s that did the entirety of all of Thumper's lines in the movie Bambi. They created a track on top of it. It's insane, but they could never release it because of copyright issues, as like this is what it is. But now, because we're using this sort of remixing thing, now this is sort of exploded as like a creative possibility. There's this guy by the name of Mono Neon, who is, if you don't know who Mono Neon is, you should definitely check him out, because he does nothing but this sort of thing in the weirdest, most far out there sort of like music. He does like microtonal music, and like it's this weird like microtonal southern gospel fusion sort of thing, but it makes total sense because you're seeing it with the video, and it's like this, like what we were saying earlier, like the combination of video and audio really can't be divorced from one another. And I think it's just exciting to see this. This is this sort of thing that could only exist in like online video, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, there's one more thing that I wanted to pop on, because it touches on, you mentioned Patreon. You mentioned Patreon earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
So Jacob Collier did a series called I Harm You. The idea being that people would send him a sort of like 30-second clip of mostly them singing, but kind of like anything, them playing some instruments, whatever, and he'd harmonize on top of it. And I think it's just a really neat, clever, very creative thing to do, but also a neat way to make Patreon work, and to have like small contributions come to him, so you basically fund his album. Let's watch a little bit. And then with Jacob.
Now is the month
So he does loads of these things, all of them with the same format, someone doing something and then him harmonizing over the top.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, Ted.
Now is the month of May, when merry lights all play, with a fa la 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 la, with a fa la 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 la, each with his body la, dancing on the cross, with a fa la 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 la. Oh, sorry.
Aww. So
Love
cute.
Jacob.
Yeah, that's cool. Do people send the videos in to Jacob?
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
He recently did a live stream where he showed the process behind this, and he is fast in Logic, let me tell you. The guy just like
Oh, really?
comes up, like these harmonies are otherworldly complicated, and he can hear them perfectly, and he sings them all on the first go. Like, it's pretty insane. Like, and his whole creative process is very, very much like stream of conscious. And you know, this whole thing has to be stream of conscious in a way, because you have to keep, like you mentioned earlier, the idea of like the constant flow of like content creation. And so like Jacob Collier is one of these guys that just does it. Like, he's insane. Anyway, I don't mean to geek out on him, but he's like a true new genius of music.
Does he use autotune on those vocals?
Oh no,
No way.
He's
They sound like really perfect. Don't
yeah.
they?
You should check out Jacob Collier.
There's a video where he sings like microtones with precision. Like let's divide a semitone into 4 and like move our way down to the next semi, and just sings it spot on.
Music theory interview with June Lee. He has 2 half-hour interviews. They'll change your life, I swear.
So Patreon is obviously a really important, very interesting platform for artists to be able to get enough money to do cool stuff, but also to interact very directly with fans, with your community again. And I know it's something you've been doing a lot. So does it kind of facilitate you kind of taking the next step with whatever you want to do?
I guess for me it was a way to have a dependable income as a musician. I started on Patreon a couple years ago, and you know, at that point, income was really sporadic. It was like, oh, I'll get a job here and there. YouTube just goes up and down depending on what views you get every month. So Patreon, I think, for so many creatives has been that solution where the people who are most into your work have an easy way to support you on an ongoing basis. And something I want to point out about it is when I first approached it, I kind of felt like it was transactional in nature. Like, I'm going to offer these perks, and these people will be interested in these perks, and therefore they will support. But so much so, I'm finding that these are just people who believe in what you do so much that they want to be able to contribute. They want to make sure that you can keep doing it, and that's amazing.
We need to wrap up. There's one more thing that I wanted to show you. These guys are, of course, here, and I'm not going to have a Q&A. But if you have questions, you should come and say hi and address those questions directly. There is still plenty of time to chat. I guess one of the things in collecting this stuff together and thinking about what good video making is for music makers looks like, it seems to me that it's the continuous theme is kind of embracing your own creativity first of all, and then each of you have like found a voice by really connecting with what it is that you're most interested in. And going through all your channels, it seemed like really you can see that process of gradual refinement and just pursuing the thing that fascinates you most. I found that really warming. And looking through these other things too, it's the successful stuff seems to be the stuff that's quite true to like what your actual passions are. I think as a music maker, video software, that creating stuff, making the time for it, but especially producing work, can be quite a daunting prospect. And the idea of starting to make videos when you're maybe not particularly well versed in the software is a frightening thing. I wanted to show this video, which is basically one long quote from Ira Glass that tackles this exact thing, and I think speaks to something I'm sure we'd all agree, but especially on this topic of video making, is something to think about.
Beide Positionen. Vielleicht richtig vorgefertigt für den digitalen Film. Ein ganz tolles Gespräch.
Nobody tells people who are beginners, and I really wish somebody had told this to me, is that all of us who do creative work, like, you know, we get into it, and we get into it because we have good taste. But it's like there's a gap that for the first couple of years that you're making stuff, what you're making isn't so good, okay? It's not that great. It's trying to be good. It has ambition to be good, but it's not quite that good. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, your taste is still killer. And your taste is good enough that you can tell that what you're making is kind of a disappointment to you. You know what I mean? A lot of people never get past that phase. A lot of people at that point, they quit. And the thing I would just like say to you with all my heart is that most everybody I know who does interesting creative work, they went through a phase of years where they had really good taste, they could tell what they were making wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. They knew it felt short. It didn't have this special thing that we wanted it to have. And the thing I would say to you is everybody goes through that. And for you to go through it, if you're going through it right now, if you're just getting out of that phase, you gotta know it's totally normal. And the most important possible thing you could do is do a lot of work. Do a huge volume of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week or every month you know you're going to finish one story. Because it's only by actually going through a volume of work that you're actually going to catch up and close that gap. And the work you're making will be as good as your ambitions. It takes a while. It's going to take you a while. It's normal to take a while, and you just have to fight your way through that. Okay?
Cool.
Yeah. That's beautifully shot.
Real talk.
Yeah.
So, on that note, I would like to thank all of you guys. You have been amazing this weekend. Let's go and hang out. And I would like you to join me in thanking our 3 panelists.